Yo, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another reaction video. In today's video we're going to be reacting to 6 true Christmas horror stories animated. Probably watched 3 or 4. You know me, I don't like horror. I get scared pretty easily. But the last horror story I reacted to, the reaction video, like something just went wrong with it. But the actual stories were trash. So this time it's a different person. Hopefully it's actually scary. Let's get into it. Lego. Let's see.
Back when I was about 6 or 7, we were visiting my aunt for Christmas. She had just divorced her husband. He was a hot-headed Czechoslovakian guy who had started to go a little off the deep end. He called the house multiple times over the past few days, threatening my aunt, but nothing had ever come from it. We'd kind of dealt with the temper and flare-ups the entire course.
She do got the auntie head shade. Yeah, that is the stereotypical auntie archetype right here that I'm looking at. And Buddy just looks like he's on some very, very hard drugs. that's that liquor, bro. That liquor.
Course of their relationship, so it wasn't really anything new. The only part that was difficult was that we were hearing him freak out through the phone.
See? Mom archetype. Auntie. That's definitely auntie right there. Yeah. What, I got 2 Christmas trees? I'm doing it up.
Not in person. This was actually kind of nice compared to the normal routine. Try not to placate a middle-aged guy with a bad attitude.
Another tree. What y'all got going on?
My parents and I had just immigrated to Canada, which is where the story was taking place, so we were spending the night at my aunt's before the house was ready. We were lounging for the holidays and just enjoying a little family time. There was hot cocoa, caramel popcorn, all the fixings for a good time. While my aunt was sitting in the den, she happened to glance up and saw her ex coming to.
Buddy strapped. You see, this is where well, they're deep in the snow. I don't know if the police even gonna get out there. Shit, yo, that's why if I'm in America, I need me a strap. Wherever I am, I need me a strap, bro.
Towards the house with a hunting rifle. She screamed to my dad with balls of steel flew into action, locking the door and then running myself, my aunt, and my mother up the stairs, and then locking us in a room. We put a dresser in front of the door while my dad grabbed a buck knife and then ran back downstairs.
Dude. He's clearly never heard the saying, don't bring a knife to a gunfight. He's clearly never heard that. He ain't got nothing. Are you allowed? Are guns legal in Canada? I don't even actually know. Are guns legal in Canada? Guns are legal but heavily regulated. You got a little bit of restriction, fam. That nigga, get you a strap, bro. Get you a strap. Buddy playing. That's how you lose your life.
I was in shock watching him grab a weapon and go back toward the danger. He was totally calm, ready to deliver certain death to this clown who thought he was going to surprise us. I learned in those few seconds, watching my father gather himself and then go downstairs, never to mess with that man. Never. Not even as a joke. The rest of the story I only know because it's been told to me. Basically, my mom called the police from the upstairs phone. Meanwhile, my aunt's ex busted open the door near where my dad was hiding and then entered the home. My dad waited for him to take a few steps into the main room before he jumped out from the corner and hit him over the head with something. I think my dad thought it would knock the guy out cold, but all it ended up doing was getting him to drop the rifle. This wasn't a bad alternative. My dad continued the assault, which kind of turned into a raw fist fight there in the foyer. I don't know what happened to the knife.
Nah, that was throwing
into
him,
a
bro.
raw fist bad alternative. My dad continued the assault, which kind of turned into.
See, Buddy getting his chin right here, but because he got the beard, he's protected. But he's getting him though. He's like, he look weak with it, but Buddy. You know, he got that, that fight.
This wasn't a bad alternative. My dad continued the assault, which kind of turned into a raw fist fight there in the foyer.
So I'm saying, what is this?
I don't know
bro?
what happened to the knife. I assumed it was involved at least in the initial back and forth scuffle, but he never confirmed nor denied if he stabbed that guy. With the look that my dad had,
he stabbed him. He stabbed him. He poked him. He poked him. Poked him real good
on his face that day, I'm almost positive he knifed him at least once. The police showed up and arrested my aunt's ex. But the scariest part about all this was,
who is this?
My aunt's ex's father was found hiding in the backyard when the police did a sweep about the house. He was this old abusive drunk that hated my aunt too. He'd been waiting in the backyard with a knife, hoping we'd run out there.
Oh, okay. Uh-oh. They're not smiling, buddy. They're not smiling. You're done. You're done. You're done. But y'all need to investigate the auntie, bro. Like, see what? I know these niggas be crazy, but well, for some of us, don't just get provoked for no reason. So the dad and the son hate her. She must have been cheating or something. She must have been, she probably give this nigga herpes. Then cheated with the father, gave him herpes. Like, it must be bad. It must be bad.
He was way scarier than his son. He had a real rap sheet of aggravated assaults and more things like that. Had my father tried to usher us out back, we would have been dead in that moment. He really saved us that day with his quick thinking and quicker action. Situational awareness is one thing, but having the brass to react is definitely something else. The father ended up getting deported. The ex went to jail and then had a restraining order for years to come. Although he still claims they only wanted to scare us, it was a horrifying experience, hearing all that commotion from downstairs while we're all hidden away. All I know is, based on my dad's bravery and the beating he must have put on that guy, we've gotten to enjoy it.
Am I even recording? Yeah, I am. Sorry. That's it. I thought I was recording.
Many more Christmases.
Why are your presents outside?
On the 25th of December in 2014, 36-year-old Dustin Lee Klopp dialed 911 from his home in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. When they asked what the nature of his emergency was, Dustin told the dispatcher that he required police assistance as a domestic disturbance had occurred at his home. He refused to elaborate any further, and when assured that the officers had been dispatched to his location, Dustin hung up the phone. Upon their arrival at Dustin's home, the police officers received no answer after knocking on his front door. The scenes of domestic disputes are often extremely noisy and extremely volatile, but in this case, there was nothing but a dead silence on the other side of the door. The officers began circling the perimeter of the house, peering into the windows before making their way into the backyard. The place seemed completely deserted, and for a moment, the officers believed they may have gotten to the wrong address. Just as they were about to radio dispatch for some more clarification, one of the officers passed a small shed Dustin had kept in his backyard and detected the telltale smell of rotten flesh emanating from its interior. After fetching a pair of bolt cutters from their patrol car, the officers gained access to the shed,
Dustin been on
and
some
after a brief
foolishness.
search, discovered a dismembered human corpse stuffed into a gym bag. It was quickly determined the deceased was Stephanie Kilhefner, the common-law wife of Dustin Lee Klopp, and soon after, the police officers came to a horrifying conclusion. Dustin had absconded with the couple's two daughters, and if he'd murdered their mother, there was no telling what he had planned for them. Local law enforcement rushed into action, setting up roadblocks while requesting additional units from neighboring counties. Within just a half an hour, a gigantic web of roadblocks and police patrols sought to trap Dustin in Lancaster County, but the effort proved fruitless. Because right around the same time, the entire county was being sealed off. Dustin simply walked into a state police barracks and handed himself in.
Okay.
My name...
Okay. Again, this is either he's crazy or she was absolutely tripping and she just needed to be, she needed to be getting up on out here. But easy handed himself in though. Fuck you, Dustin, because why you just going around murdering people? But shit, he's made it easy.
It's Dustin Lee Klopp, he told the officers at the front desk, and I just killed my wife. As they escorted him into an interview room, homicide detectives were struck by how calm Dustin was and how he remained that way as he described the events of the previous night.
Oh yeah, he
At
didn't
around
plan
10
this.
p.m. on Christmas Eve, Dustin and his wife began to argue. Their relationship had already been steadily unraveling, but the copious amounts of alcohol exacerbated an already tense situation until the atmosphere became downright volatile. Dustin explained how his wife had started to fiercely berate him after he attempted to walk away from the argument. Stephanie then directed so many vile insults at Dustin, he claimed to simply snap. He saw red and attacked her. With one single strike, Dustin knocked Stephanie unconscious, and as she lay before him groaning, she gradually came around. But he knew.
Bruh. See, women, please. And I know sometimes it's the men, I know sometimes the men be doing the most. If you're in an argument, don't just start going throwing insults, bruh. Guess why you're this, and you're this, and your dick's small, and you never made me nut. I was fucking with this person. Cause you got niggas like Dustin that will really spaz on your ass, and now it's long. See, all it took was one uppercut. Just one. And she was out. Jeez.
There was no turning back now. Stephanie
Just
used
like,
this-
be peaceful to resolve an argument. So y'all sit down, say how you feel, other person says how they feel. If something really needs to be resolved, like something needs to change, then and there, you two discuss what needs to change. Or if not, just give each other a head. Call it a night. Like, you'll be nice, man. Jeez, don't get this whole domesticated, like. Just dome down and chill. Like, domesticate a zoo. You get me? Domesticate some love. Like,
incident to financially and socially destroy him. She'd take
people
the
these
kids,
days.
she'd take the house, and she'd take almost half of his salary for as long as he could
See, this nigga worried about divorce. So stressed about divorce, he committed murder just to keep his shit. Some laws need to change.
continue to hold
bruh.
a job. This drunken mistake would prove nothing short of catastrophic for him, unless he committed the unthinkable. At that, Dustin walked into the family's kitchen, retrieved the sharpest knife that he could find. He kneeled next to his wife's body.
See, Dustin, this way you're going too far, bro. I mean, you already done knocked her out. That's too far, but this is like major lines are being crossed, Dustin. Bro, just put her over your shoulder, take her to bed, fam. Like, buy her extra Christmas gift. Yo, you like, what are you doing, buddy?
Kitchen, retrieved the sharpest knife that he could find. He kneeled next to his wife's body, brought the blade up to her throat, sliced open her jugular in a spray of fresh blood. He then walked into his home's backyard, grabbed a large axe he'd been using to chop wood for a smoker, then, in his own words, split her head open with it. He spent the remainder of the evening chopping up Stephanie's body.
Dustin, why?
All
It's
while their
not
two
that
sleeping
deep.
daughters slept peacefully upstairs, completely ignorant of the horror that had unfolded downstairs. By morning, Dustin had removed almost all evidence of the crime, all except his wife's corpse. After stuffing her remains into the gym bag and hiding it in the shed, he hoped the cold might mask the stench of death. He then drove his children over to his parents' house under the pretense of spending Christmas at their place. To them, it was a pleasant surprise, and neither party thought too much of it as Dustin drove back to home to place that fateful phone call. Overcome with guilt, Dustin briefly considered suicide. The idea of facing the media firestorm that would inevitably follow seemed far too much to bear. But instead of taking his own life, Dustin decided to face judgment.
Yeah, nah,
His
you
courage
need
only
to
lasted
feel
a few
that,
months,
bro.
though,
You need to feel
as in
that.
early 2015, Dustin hung himself in his cell at Lancaster
Oh,
County
man.
Prison. His attempt was interrupted by a prison guard, but the intervention came far too late. He was declared clinically.
You know what? The prisoners was probably on his ass too. You know, we don't just reacted to some prison stories, gonna react to more, but yeah, the prisoner was probably on his ass.
Brain dead just a week later, slipping away shortly after life support was withdrawn. Crimes like this are a prime example of why restraint and de-escalation are so important. When Dustin lost his temper with his wife, he not only lost the moral high ground, he kicked off a chain of events that would end in both of their deaths. At a time when families should be coming together, putting aside their differences to spend quality time together, Dustin Lee Klopp chose to doom his own.
See, bruh, so sad. A few petty arguments, just a few petty arguments, but you see how that has now, which who I feel sorry for the most, the two little girls, bro. Now they're without a mother and without a father. Because some petty arguments and y'all want it to be rah rah rah. Like there's certain people, and everyone knows these type of people. There's certain people, they can be toxic, and they can get a little bit domestic here and there, but like, you know that they're good. Like, you know that they'll always be together forever. Like, they love each other really. Like, they hate on each other most of the time you see them, but you know that they love each other. You got them people, and it does get crazy. But this could have been so easily avoided, man. So easily avoided.
I was driving from
We'll do
Cheyenne
one
up to
more,
Butte,
one more.
Montana, and the first part is generally windy with chances of the road closing due to the wind being common. I was about half a mile behind a pickup truck, pulling a travel trailer, when I saw that it started to get loose. I myself regularly pulled a 28-foot travel trailer myself, and had spent a few days and nights sitting in Douglas, Wyoming, waiting for the winds to die down so I could finish my drive. When I say winds, I mean catastrophic air movements, sometimes upward of 75 miles per hour. The southern belt of Wyoming can actually be a record setter for winds. The average is usually over 50 miles per hour for the year. Casper held the highest rate of suicide per capita in the world, and there's barely 60,000 people living there. Many attribute this to the wind driving them crazy, day after day. Anyway, I start mumbling to myself about using the trailer brakes to straighten it out, when he went sideways and into the center of the divided highway. It jackknifed and rolled, so I yelled some curses. I was a brand new dad at the time, so I'd been thinking extra about my own mortality. There's nothing like someone else on the road, not just putting themselves at risk, but everyone else around them too.
People always say that to me, they're like, because as you know, insurance is just teeth, especially if you live like in cities like I do in Birmingham in England. Insurance is just majorly teeth for a young male. But I'm sure everyone's always like, it's and which I understand now, it's true, it is the other people on the road that are just doing the most, that do the most, bro. It's the other drivers. It's not specifically you, it's the other drivers that just do the most.
Former EMT, so I was preparing myself to help save some guy's life when I rounded the corner and saw it. The truck was on its side. He had landed on the driver's head, partially detached outside of the vehicle.
Whoa! Whoa, I'm glad that's blood, but yep.
Body inside, and a small section of ligament keeping it attached. Basically, his head smashed through the driver's window of this truck as it rolled, and then the truck decapitated him as it shifted on its side along the roadway. I could see a path of blood, where the open wounds had dug through the snow. At the end of this little bloody trail is a severed human head, still bleeding while the snow
That is a horrible way to go out.
lands in its hair.
Oh.
I looked in the front window and saw no one else inside, and slowly walked back to my truck, mumbling about who knows what. I called law enforcement, explained the
Nigga, phone long as hell. What phone is that?
situation in the scene, and then the location. I asked if they needed me to stay, and dispatch told me no. My information was enough. I drove a long way in silence. I even cried some thinking about my 8-month-old boy, and what his life would be like without me. I saw myself driving that truck, not in that trailer, as that's how my wife and I lived for about 8 years. We pulled that thing all over, rain or shine, any time of the year. Count your blessings.
For real, that's what's up, man.
First off, I'm living very rural, in a small village with maybe 10 to 15 houses.
Was that the story?
But close to the highway. You can drive there within maybe 5 minutes. It's also about 10 minutes away from town.
Okay, we'll do one more.
You cross the
since that
street,
was short.
it just takes
That
you about
was
a 10-minute
short.
walk to reach the forest. First Christmas Day. In the afternoon, my partner and I decided to go for a little digestive walk. We were really stuffed from all the food. It was around 5 p.m. and already dark when we left. We had this big and bright LED flashlight with us, and I also took my camera and my flash, as I love taking pictures of nature at night. We decided to walk on a little country road towards the forest, and then turn right, following a small gravel cycle track close to the forest border, which connects our village and the next. In the middle part of the track, you have to walk through a small bit of forest. It's rather dark and the trees are very high and quite dense. When we entered, I saw my flashlight reflecting on something and recognized a car being parked there on the side of the track, close to the trees. This struck me as odd. Cars are not allowed to drive there, and the path is very narrow and hidden, so I was a bit cautious. My partner pointed the light inside of the car, and it seemed to be empty. I also noticed that the windows were frozen, so it must have been parked there for quite some time. A bit in front of the car, I spotted a tree with this intriguing structure. I asked my partner to point the flashlight toward it, so I could better focus and photograph it with my flash. After I took a few images, my partner told me, there's someone standing behind us in the middle of the road. He's looking at us. Nobody was following us that whole way until now. I'd look behind me occasionally, because at this time in the evening and so close to the border of the forest, there's sometimes boars. Indeed, now there was a man standing behind us, staying just out of the flashlight's reach. He wasn't saying anything, just standing there.
Bro, what is up with all these people just looking absolutely crazy?
And facing
But what drug does this? What drug does this?
At first, I thought he might be startled,
Bro,
as
it's
it may
so
seem a
chill.
bit weird if someone's just taking photos around your car. I decided to get up and confront him from a distance, explaining to him that I was just taking photos of that tree. He didn't react, he just stood there. I then went on to ask him if he needed some light, and he replied that that wasn't necessary. It was odd, but I was still calm. Sure, there has to be a normal explanation for all this behavior. Nonetheless, my partner and I just decided to get out of there and follow the path leading to the next village.
Up and
I
down.
remembered the letters on his license plate and Googled it. It turned out he was from a city about 6 hours away from us. Mind you, the country that I live in is in a very strict lockdown right now, so you're only allowed to travel even by car if you have very urgent reasons. After we reached the first lantern in the next village, we looked back and observed the car driving a bit out of the forest, turning around and then going back inside. I was able to see that he parked there again and turned the lights off. He didn't leave the forest. We went home on a much longer way than initially intended, and I didn't want to go back there for obvious reasons. Our flashlight battery died on the way, and my phone battery was low, so I didn't want to call the police back then, but I called them as soon as I arrived home and gave them all the details that I can remember. I think I was very lucky to have my partner and that camera, as well as that bright light with me. I don't want to imagine what could have happened if I was all alone.
But here's the thing, you don't know what he's doing. Like, I know it's creepy, but he'll just get to up and call in the feds straight up. It's a bit peak, no? Well, anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments, but make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Matter of fact, the videos dropping every single day, 5:15 UK time, 5:15 PM. So I'll see you tomorrow. Peace, love, and prosperity.